Hey everyone, welcome to Perspective, and I'm your host, Kirill for real! Okay, jokes aside, today's topic is exciting. It's exciting if you're looking to get something done. And these are not everyday things. These are your passions, your dreams, your goals, something big. And obviously I'm gonna tell you my story, how I got started talking on it. But in general, today we're gonna talk about habits, skills, and 5 factors that you can work on to change the whole thing and get to your goals. Right now it's 2019, and this is my second video. But the initial idea I got in 2017. At the time I was in Australia. I was watching a lot of Charisma on Command. If you haven't seen the channel, I do recommend it. The guys talk about charisma, how to get more confident, how to talk, how to communicate better, be more efficient. But okay, the point is they inspired me, they do great things, and I wanted to do great things also. I wanted to find something I'm passionate about. And what I found out is I have a set of topics that I've studied, that I bumped, and of which I talked about in the previous video. So here's the point. Right now I'm doing it, and it's been almost 2 years. So how did I end up here? First, let's talk about habits. Habit is something we do automatically, something that we started to do, something that we developed over the time by doing over and over again. It can be brushing your teeth, or let's say you work in the office and every single time you pass the trash can, you toss a paper. And if you do it every single day, then it becomes a habit. So it's not, you don't do it voluntarily, you do it automatically. Skill, on the other hand, is also something you develop with repetitions. But the only difference is skill is how good you do something. So if we're talking about the tossing the paper, let's say in order to be really accurate, you can either try to toss a paper every single day, or maybe you play basketball and you're just good with it already. So the 5 factors, and now we'll connect the skills and habits. The first out of 5 factors is cost of inaction. That's something we don't really realize, and that's why I want to talk about it. An experiment they did when they were writing the book, David Kahneman, Thinking, Fast and Slow, they talked about how we are more afraid of loss than we want to gain something. So the experiment was simple. You flip a coin. If you win, you get $150. If you lose, you lose 100. And the initial reaction is, if you don't think about it, I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to lose 100. We value losses they are way more significant to us. So how does it apply to what I'm talking about? The cost of inaction can be measured in 2 things. Well, for me. 1 is the size of an elephant. 2 is hours. So why are we talking about an elephant in the first place? When we were talking about our goals and our projects, my friend once referred to them as an elephant. So what do you want to do with this elephant? You want to climb on him and ride it like a boss. But what happens is every single time you have this project and you have this impulse to get started on it and you don't get started on it, this elephant grows bigger. That's the power of habit. It grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you haven't looked at it for a while and you turn around and you see this gigantic animal and you realize that you cannot climb on it. So what happens is once you develop the habit, it becomes really hard to break it. And when you decide not to do it every single time, it gets really big. Skills, on the other hand, is a different thing. So how skills are relevant here is simple. If you spend, let's say, if you're an average person, within a day you spend probably 3-4 hours on your phone. You might be on Instagram, social media, messengers, and that's how you spend your time. But let's say you have a skill that you want to develop. If you spend an hour every single day for the next month, by the end of the month you will be a person who invested 30 hours into a skill. And this skill could be, let's say, communication. So if you spend 30 hours on communication, it might be reading books, visiting some seminars or practicing it, it will get you like ahead of 90% of people. You will become really good at it. So if you find something that when you think about it, if you had it, let's say, okay, let me give you a case. So let's say I offer you that you already have these 30 hours invested in this communication. And if you like this idea, what it means is that in order to get there in a month, you need to spend an hour every single day. So essentially what happens is it's the past you that didn't do it. This is why you end up here without that skill. So now we know that when we decide to do something, let's say social media, messengers, we decide not to develop skills. And this truth hurt because you could have already had a lot of skills developed and you could have had a lot of progress on your project. Number 2 is timing. Timing is everything, but at the same time, timing is never perfect. That's one of the rules from the Tim Ferriss book, 4-Hour Work Week. Once again, if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. The point is, you will never have, like, the stars will never align. Well, they might align, but it would be just a coincidence. And you can't bet on coincidence. For all the major things in life, timing is never perfect. So my example in this case was when I decided to learn Spanish. I decided that, well, I like the skill. I know English. It's good enough to me, so let's learn an extra language. And at some point, I was sitting with my friend, Sarthak, hey man, in the kitchen, and we were talking about how to get started. And we found out that actually in the next 6 months, nothing's gonna change for me. I'm still gonna have gym, I'm still gonna have basketball, I'm still gonna have this job, and I do not have extra time to do it. So I have to decide whether I wanna do it. So I did, y yo hablo español un poco. It's not a lot. Obviously, I can do a little better, but the point is I got started once I realized that nothing's gonna change and I still wanna do it. Now we come to number 3, resources. Resources is something we're always missing. It's similar to timing because, well, we might need money, we might need someone's help, we might need experience, we might need a skill. And these are the things we will be lacking if we want them, right? But the thing about these resources is you can actually write down steps how to get them. Even with time, even though time is a non-renewable resource, you can allocate your time. We all have the same amount of time. So if you spend less time on, let's say, social media and spend an extra time on a skill that you want, you will get there. That's as simple as that. Number 4, let's say you agree on everything and you want to get started. But when you think about your project, it's huge. We're not talking about something small like, I don't know, buying a chair. We want something big, like buying a yacht, right? A boat, a castle, whatever. If it's buying, or maybe becoming the best player in your favorite sport. The road, the path there is really long and hard. So when you just think about the goal, that's gigantic. So what you want to do is you want to understand the whole process and break things down. This way, when you actually decide to act, you won't get scared because of all the things that's gonna make it harder for you. That's it. So planning is essential. And number 5, luckily I won't talk about number 5 too much. Number 5 is decision. Number 5 is making decision and taking responsibility, something we talked about in the previous video. In my case, I did make my decision and I am standing here right now. That's the result of decision. It might not be perfect, but that's exactly what I want to do. And it makes me feel good. Even the cost of inaction, you know, if I got started a year earlier, by the time I would have much better setup. I would have way more experience and I would deliver a better content. But hey man, I have only one life and this is where I am right now. So, what are we gonna do about it? Right now you have perspective, right? Right now you know how things work. And this is the time when you can make a good thing for yourself and you can make decision. If you make decision right now that you want to get down with this project, get started with this project either way, You have one of the three options. Option number one is right now you have free time in the next hour. So what you can do is you can actually sit down, think about what you want to do, why you want to do it, write it down, explain yourself the first steps, the reasoning, the motivation behind it, get passionate about it, and well, next time you will get started. Option number two is if you don't have an extra time. So what you can do is you can plan this time where you will sit and do everything I mentioned before. Unless you do that, unless you think that you will do it someday is something that's never going to happen. It's a graveyard for your dreams, for the meetings that never happened. So don't bet on it. Take care, take responsibility. Take responsibility and make it happen. And if you don't have time in foreseeable future, but you still want to do it, this is your project. What you can do is you can set reminder right now for, let's say, in 2 months, you will get this reminder to think about it once again. Or you can rewatch the video and make your decision. I hope it was helpful. I do care about this topic a lot, as you might see. So if you have any suggestions, any comments, they are more than welcome. I really want to engage into conversation. So hit like, hit subscribe. I probably want to post videos every week. So see you on the next perspective. Peace.